3 a.m. 3 in the morning. I wake up again, heart racing, sheets drenched in sweat, that horrible feeling in my chest like something terrible is about to happen. I grab my phone from the bedside table. Blue light burns my sleepy eyes. I open my work email almost automatically like a reflex. 17 new messages since I went to bed 4 hours ago. 17. I close the phone, throw it aside, turn to the other side. But sleep doesn't come back. It never does. That happened yesterday, and the day before, and every day last week. Actually, it's been happening for so long that I don't even remember what it's like to sleep through the night. Do you know that feeling? Waking up more tired than when you went to bed? Yeah, I knew it too. Until one day I realized it wasn't just exhaustion. It was something much bigger, much more dangerous happening to me. Let me tell you this story from the beginning, because if you're watching this video right now, maybe you're living the same thing I did. And man, I need to warn you about the signs before it's too late, because for me, it almost was. It all started about 2 years ago. I got that job that on paper seemed amazing. Big company, better salary, promises of fast growth. My parents were proud. My friend said it was the opportunity of a lifetime. I believed that too. For the first few months, I was excited, I woke up early, arrived before everyone else, stayed after hours. I wanted to prove that I deserved to be there. Then came the first signs, but they were so subtle I didn't notice. A headache here, another one there. At first, I'd take some painkillers and move on. Then the pain became more frequent. Every week, that migraine that shut me down completely. And my stomach, God, my stomach. I started having terrible pain after eating anything. I went to the doctor. He ran tests, endoscopy, ultrasound, blood work, the whole thing. You know what it showed? Gastritis. Out of nowhere. I'd never had any digestion problems in my life. The doctor looked at me and asked, "Are you stressed lately?" I laughed, said it was just normal work stress. Everyone's stressed at work, right? He prescribed stomach medication and told me to try to relax more. Relax, as if it were that simple. I left the office, went to the pharmacy, bought the medicine, and on the way back I was already answering work emails. After all, I'd left early for the doctor, so I needed to make up for it. That was the first sign I completely ignored. My body was literally screaming that something was wrong, and I just silenced it with pills and kept going. Because that's what we do, right? We learn that pain, discomfort, fatigue, that's all normal. It's part of being an adult, of having responsibilities. Everyone goes through it. But it didn't stop there. A few months later came the second sign, sleep, or rather the total lack of it. I started waking up in the middle of the night, always at the same time between 3 and 4 a.m., and it wasn't a peaceful awakening, It was waking up with my heart pounding, my mind racing, already thinking about work, that meeting coming up, that late project, that mistake I made last week that no one mentioned, but I was sure everyone had noticed. At first, I'd try to go back to sleep. I'd lie down, breathe deeply, count sheep, all those tricks from the internet. Nothing worked. So I started getting up and working. I think, since I'm awake anyway, I might as well get something done. I'd open my laptop right there in the dark living room, only the screen light on my face, and work until it was time to get ready to leave. My friends started saying I looked exhausted. My mom would call and say my voice sounded weak. I ignored it, said everything was fine, just a busy time at work, that things would calm down soon. But they never did. They only got worse. Then came the third sign, the one that hurt the most. I started disappearing. Not physically, but emotionally. My friends invited me out on weekends, and I always had an excuse. I'm too tired, I'll just rest at home. I have to wake up early Monday. Too much to do, maybe next time. At first they insisted, then they stopped. They stopped calling. And the worst part? I didn't even notice when that happened. Weekends became just recovery time. I'd get home Friday night, destroyed, crash into bed and wake up late on Saturday. I'd spend the whole day on the couch, no energy for anything. Sunday was pre-Monday anxiety. That pit in my stomach started in the afternoon. By 6 p.m., I was already miserable. By 8 p.m., full panic. I'd look at the clock and think, in 10 hours, I'll have to be there again. And I'd start crying. That's right, I cried. Every Sunday night, I had a breakdown. At first, it was just tears falling while I tried to distract myself watching TV. Then it turned into full-on sobbing, the kind that comes from deep inside your chest. And I felt so pathetic. I thought, man, you're a grown adult crying because you have to work tomorrow. Ridiculous. I blamed myself for being weak, for not handling pressure, for being inferior to everyone else who seemed fine. That's when the fourth sign appeared. I completely lost interest in everything. Everything. I used to love playing guitar. My guitar sat untouched against the bedroom wall for months. I used to play video games to relax. My console stayed off for ages. Shows I followed, books I was reading, none of it mattered anymore. I'd get home and just lie down staring at the ceiling. No energy for anything. Not even TV. Things that once brought me joy became a burden. My girlfriend suggested dinner, a movie, anything. I just think of how much effort it would take to get dressed, go out, pretend to be okay, smile, talk. Exhausting just thinking about it. So I made excuses. I'm too tired. Let's stay in tonight. And we did. Me scrolling aimlessly on my phone, her sitting quietly beside me, knowing I was slipping away but not knowing how to reach me. Then came the fifth sign, when things got really dark. My thoughts changed completely. I'd wake up already thinking about everything that would go wrong that day. On the way to work, a constant internal loop. You're not good enough. You're going to mess up. Everyone knows you're a fraud. It's only a matter of time before they fire you. All day, every interaction fed those thoughts. My boss said good morning without smiling. He was mad at me. Coworkers stopped talking when I walked by. They were gossiping about me. A dry email? I must have done something wrong. The nights were the worst. I'd lie in bed replaying everything that happened. That sentence I said wrong in the meeting, that email with a typo, that moment everyone laughed at a joke I didn't get, over and over. And through it all, that voice in my head repeating endlessly, "You're a failure. You're worthless. You should just give up." One day I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. Literally. I stared at my reflection and thought, who is this guy? Dark circles, pale skin, slouched shoulders, dead eyes. Where was the man who used to smile? Who had dreams? Who woke up excited for life? He died somewhere along the way and I hadn't even noticed. And then came the most terrifying sign, the one that made me realize I needed help. I started having escape thoughts. At first it was, I wish I could disappear for a few days. Then it became, I wish I didn't have to wake up tomorrow. And it escalated, thoughts that it would be easier if I just didn't exist, that everyone would be better off without me, that I was just a burden. There was one specific day that changed everything. It was a Monday. I was in my car, stuck in traffic, heading to work, the sun rising, beautiful sky, people out living their lives. And I thought, what if I just didn't? What if I turned the wheel and left everything behind? But it wasn't a romantic thought about running away. It was dark, heavy, desperate. And when I realized how deep that thought went, I got scared of myself. That's when my girlfriend realized something was really wrong. She came home from work and found me sitting on the floor in the dark, staring at the wall. She turned on the light, sat beside me, held my hand and said, "You need help. You're not okay. And I'm here, but you need professional help." And she was right. The next day I called work and said I wasn't coming in. Picked up my phone, booked a session with a psychologist, my first ever. I went in expecting judgment, expecting them to think I was weak. But when I started talking, when I finally let out everything I'd been holding for so long, something inside me started moving again. The psychologist explained what burnout was, explained that what I was feeling wasn't weakness, wasn't lack of ability. It was my body and mind's response to an unsustainable situation, that my job was literally making me sick, and that if I kept going, the consequences could be irreversible. It took time. It wasn't overnight. Months of therapy, anxiety medication, learning to set boundaries, understanding I didn't have to prove anything to anyone. And eventually, I made the hardest and most liberating decision of my life. I quit that job. It was terrifying. I had no guarantees, just a few months of savings, fear of what people would think, fear I was making the biggest mistake of my life. But you know what happened? 2 weeks after quitting, I slept through the night. Woke up in the morning, sunlight streaming through the window, birds singing outside, and for the first time in years, I didn't wake up with that tightness in my chest. I got up, went to the kitchen, made coffee, and cried. But this time, they were tears of relief.
Today, 2 years later, I'm here making this video to tell you all this because I know there are so many people going through exactly what I went through. I know you might be waking up in the middle of the night. You might be crying in secret. You might be looking in the mirror and not recognizing yourself. You might be having thoughts that scare you. And I need to tell you something. You are not weak. You are not incapable. You are not exaggerating. If your body is screaming, listen. If your mind is asking for help, listen. Because no job, no salary, no career is worth more than your life, more than your health, more than waking up in the morning and actually wanting to live. I'm not saying it's easy to leave. I know there are bills to pay, families to support, responsibilities, but I'm saying you have to start doing something. Find a therapist, talk to someone you trust, set limits at work, start looking for new opportunities. Do something.